if you feel to cry for the Lord, for Guru Krishna, that is so powerful. It becomes the extinguisher of your material misery. So try to learn how to cry for the Lord. It is necessary because at the core of our existence, we have innate feeling, innate separation from the Lord. And if you don't come to that level, you will not get the taste of Krishna consciousness. It is necessary we go to our soul level. We are soul. We are spirit soul, conscious being. We have to go down below physical, sensual, vital, mental, intelligent, go to the soul level. Soul level, when you chant, is pure name. But we are chanting on a mental level. I'm thinking, oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. What the devotee is doing here? In my mind, I'm thinking, what is going on? Why this Mataji is doing? What is this? What is that? But I'm chanting in my mouth, mind is somewhere. So who is the chanter? When we chant at the soul level, then it is pure name. Today is the disappearance day of Jagannath Das Babaji, one of our stalwart preacher in our disciplic succession. And also today is the disappearance day of Rashikananda Prabhu, one of the biggest preacher in Krishna consciousness movement. He gave Krishna consciousness even to the mad elephant. When mad elephant was sent by a Muslim king to destroy him, and the mad elephant came to him and he grabbed the ear of the elephant. Come here, and chanted the mantra in the ear of elephant. If you are powerful, you can do that. He was so powerful. And the elephant completely started dancing and chanting on Krishna's name. Forgot everything about elephant body. So these are the great personalities. Also, Rasikananda Prabhu, he was such a powerful. You know who was opposed to him? You may feel very sad to hear that. The Hindus, the Brahmanas, they were opposed to him because he was preaching Krishna consciousness. Why Brahmanas are opposed to him? Because he comes from a low class and he became Vaishnava. In a Vaishnava actually are transcendental, above Brahmana, above Varnashram. But the Brahmana could not understand. Neither they want to lose their position. So as a result, they complained to their king, and the king was Muslim. And then the king was saying that, oh, he should not do this like this. So the king, one time, Rasikananda Prabhu, with Prabhu, they went for a preaching. Big kirtan on the road, crying, calling the Lord to come down to deliver everybody. And the Muslim king, he sent thousands of soldiers with a beard, horse, and the whip, and they have all their sticks and everything. As they came nearby, Shivananda Prabhu did not care, and Rasikananda Prabhu. They are just chanting and singing, calling out God. Why should we be afraid? They kept on going. Then all of a sudden, the Muslim soldier, they felt itchy on their beard. And as they itch, the blood started coming. Then they started coughing, the coughing blood. So they all went back to the king. The Pathan Muslim, Pathans, they used to rule that part of Orissa and Bengal. So then they all immediately, those days Orissa was actually including South India, Madras, these are all under Ramananda Rai. Ramananda Rai was ruling under King Prataprudra. So Orissa was big also, Bengal was also bigger. So anyway, at that time, the Muslim emperor, he went to mosque and he prayed namaz to Allah, and he prayed, what is going on? Why our soldier got self-examination, their blood was coming out from their throat. They were itching, the blood was coming out. Nobody could stop this kirtan. Then they went again next day. They broke Mridanga, this, that, but Shyamananda Prabhu did not stop Kirtan. Next day they went in a bigger party. And then they saw the emperor himself came with all these thousands of soldiers. And then Shyamananda Prabhu sat down and started big Kirtan. All of a sudden they were surprised. The emperor, Muslim emperor, fell at the feet of Shyamananda Prabhu and Rashikananda Prabhu and asked for forgiveness. And after the Kirtan over, they asked, what happened? He said, they went to the mosque and they prayed. And at night, in the dream, Allah told him, if you want to save yourself and your man's and the country, go surrender to this Shyamananda. And all those Muslims, including the emperor, they all became a great Krishna conscious devotee. So these are stalwart in this philosophy that you are learning. These are real. You have to apply in your life. Then you can experience this kind of ecstasy serving the Lord. Okay, without I will just start beginning. Please join together with your folded hand. And first of all, I thank you for participating today, Saturday, wonderful Bhagavad Gita recitation. So we are going to do Puspanjali. As we go, collect some flower and offer together. But first begin. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namah Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Together, Narayanam Namaskritam Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Dirayam Nasta Prayasa Bhadresu Nittam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistati Mukankarati Bhajalam Nangayate Takripadamam Bande Sri Guru Dinatarinam Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram Paramananda Madhavam. Everybody ready with the flower to offer at the lotus feet of your Guru and Srila Prabhupada? So please join. Om Ajnanati Mirandasa Yenanjana Salakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namah Sri Chaitanya Manovistam Apitam Jena Bhutale Ayam Rupa Kadamayam Kadati Savadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Jutapada Kamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavanstam Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanikam Pansajivam Adaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Sri Vishakanitam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunnavadi Paschatadeshatarine Anchakalpa Taruvesha Kripa Sindhu Paivacha Patitanam Pavanebho Vaishnavebho Namo Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vindam Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Krishna
Krishna
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama
Rama
Rama, Hare
Rama
Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
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 Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare
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 Rama, Hare
Rama
Rama, Rama
Rama
Rama,
Rama
Hare Hare,
Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
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 Krishna,
Krishna
Hare Hare,
Hare
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 Rama,
Rama
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama
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 Rama.
Rama Hare
Is Mother Palika Pabani Devi Dasi here? Are you visible, Mother?
Yes, Prabhu.
Are you ready for with the devotees who can recite the verses one by one?
Yes, Prabhu. I have allotted to two devotees. They'll be reading. Meanwhile, I'll be asking other devotees if they are ready.
Okay.
Okay. Gautam
So
Prabhu will be starting the first.
we are going to start from 52 or 53.
We'll be starting from 52.
Okay, wonderful. So I just want to give you little tips also that because you have to do closed book exam and open book is not difficult because you all are already genius. But closed book exam, just to catch on this chapter before I end this, just to quick. If the question comes, I'm just guessing. If the question comes that explain the significance of Arjuna addressing Krishna as a lotus eye, I hope you remember that how we discuss Kamala Patraksha, what does that means? Anybody remembers? Would you like to say, or you can just remember them? Then what are the three reasons that Arjuna asked to see the universal form? Anyone remembers? To convince others about the supreme of the Lord. You remember? Because in case somebody claim as a God, you can ask them, okay, we'll accept you as a God. Can you show us the universal form? To see, understand how the Lord is acting from within the universe. Although he is apart from it. And the third reason, to set a criteria so that impostor who are pretending to be Supreme Lord could be identified. Another question may come, what is the word Yogeshwara means? I hope you, because those will come as a closed book exam. What is the universal form of the Lord means to you? You heard last few days. You have to say something about it. This is in the purport of text 5. You can read if you don't remember everything. But prepare also, because 3 more days, then you'll be giving that exam.
Yeah, Prabhuji.
Also, sorry?
No problem, Prabhuji, go ahead. I thought of you were asking the question.
Now I'm just giving little hints and then we'll start where we left. You have to know what is the universal form actually that you heard and you remember that in future if you challenge or in your mind. So you have to describe something about the universal from what you understand. Also, I mentioned before also in the text 10, what is the many? Prabhupada used 3 times, 4 times many word. What is many referred to in that purport? And what was the change in Arjuna's relationship with the Lord on the revelation of the universal form? Before and after, there's a dramatic change. Everybody, I hope, remember, right? It's only from yesterday to today. What is the Arjuna's conclusion about the form of the Lord upon seeing the universal form? What is his conclusion? This is in text 18 we discuss, and it is there. And Arjuna says, this is my opinion. You are the supreme primeval objective. You are the ultimate resting place of all the universe. That's how he saw. You are inexhaustible, abhaya, abhaya. You are the oldest. You are the maintainer of the eternal religion, the personality of Godhead. And he said, this is my opinion. Then yesterday probably, we did from 34, was it? 33? Yeah, 34. You have to explain also the evidence from the Veda, the Supreme Lord is the destroyer of everything. Who remember there was a speciality, one form within the universal form. Why this universal form is special? Who remembers? Because Kala Rupam. Universal form generally don't have a Kala Rupam. So if you find that question comes to your exam, be prepared. Jasya Brahmataskatram. How did the Lord show Arjuna's desire to escape the battle was ill-founded? Because the Lord says that even if Arjuna did not fight, everyone beside a few Pandava would be destroyed. You remember we discussed that? Good. If Arjuna stopped fighting, because that question comes, if I don't go with Krishna's plan, what will happen? A still plan will execute, but you will be not getting the result or frustrated. Both. Nimitta matra bhava sabbhasachi on the 33 text. Very important. What does that mean? What does that mean? Means how do you apply in your life? You all going to act as the instrument of Krishna. This is very important, huh? I'm sure in the exam, closed book exam, we're going to put that question because you have to prepare. What does that mean? Nimitta matram. How can the plan of the Supreme God be understood in the material world? Have you ever wondered, like, what is Krishna's plan for me? What is Krishna's plan for this, my family? What is his plan? Well, it is already explained in text 33, if you remember. What is the criteria of perfection? That is also given. As Prabhupada says, if one is in full Krishna consciousness, his life is devoted to the Lord's transcendental service. He is perfect. This is a perfect answer. And then yesterday we also discussed from 35 to 46. Can you analyze Arjuna's feeling when he starts praying for the second time? And what rasa do his prayers correspondence to? I'm sure you remember, it's wonder. The rasa is called devotee in wonder. Explain Mahatma, Ananta, Devesha, and Aksharam. These are key words. You may have to answer. So prepare with that. Also explain the word Nidhanam. Nidhanam means everything. Even the impersonal Brahman rests on who? Krishna. Everything rests on Krishna. This is text 38. What is the main points between 41 to 42? Yesterday we discussed in the purport. After seeing the universal form, Arjuna remembers his friendly relationship. You remember? That's so sweet. With the Lord and asks for forgiveness for any offenses he may have made. However, Krishna being merciful played the part of Arjuna's friend. This is the loving relationship between the living entity and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And it cannot be forgotten by demonstrated by Arjuna. Even after seeing the wonderful universal form, he could not forget his Shakaras, friendly relationship. Why should a spiritual master be connected with Krishna? This is a very good question. On text 43 purport, Prabhupada gives. I hope you remember that. You may have to write that also in the exam. The Lord is the one who originally spoke the Vedas to Brahma, then to Arjuna. Therefore, he is the original spiritual master. Thus, a spiritual master must be connected to the Lord through the disciplic succession. Without being representative of the Lord, how can one become a teacher in the transcendental subject matter? This is very important. Then, we are beginning today. Who beside Arjuna had seen the universal form of the Lord? Anybody remembers who saw universal form beside Arjuna? This universal form.
No one.
Sanjay.
Very good. No one. Only Sanjay, yes. What is the divine vision? What can have the divine vision? Who can have?
Demigods can have.
You can see in the purport text 48. Divine means godly. In the Vedic scripture, state those who are devotees of the Lord Vishnu are demigods. And those who are atheists, Mayavadis, cannot have the divine vision. Oh, guess what? I revealed already all the questions. So you already know what you're going to face the exam. Anyway, doesn't matter. You all are wonderful devotees. So we are going to start today. You have to also pay attention from 52 to 54. You have to summarize what you understand. The central focus that right now we are beginning till 54. What do you understand? The central focus of Bhagavad Gita is Lord Krishna. But from the purports, you have to rewrite or rephrase your own realization. And the last verse, also I want very good attention. Oh, by the way, Mother Palika Pavani, these texts are very long. You have a few speakers, right? Not just one. Everybody has to mute, or I have to mute all of you. Mother Palika Pavani, did you hear my question?
Yes, Prabhu.
That 54 is very long. You have a few reciter.
Yes, Prabhu. I am
Okay.
allotting 54 sloka to 2 to 3 members. I am dividing paragraph wise.
Okay, please begin then. Whoever.
Gautam Prabhu, you can
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Text number 52. Shri Bhagavan Vacha.
One second, Prabhu. Where is this noise coming from? Children's. Okay.
Now it is coming, Prabhuji.
Yeah. It's coming from your side.
Actually, my daughter is also taking the Gita class. So from some other devotee in Mumbai.
Okay.
Just a minute, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji. We can start now.
Okay.
Text number 52. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Sudursham idam rupam dishtva nasi janmama deva appayasya rupasya nityam darshan kankshina. Translation purport by Srila Prabhupada. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "My dear Arjun, this form of mine you are now seeing is very difficult to behold. Even the demigods are ever seeking the opportunity to see this form, which is so dear." Purport. In the 48th verse of this chapter, Lord Krishna concluded, revealing his universal form, and informed Arjun that this form is not possible to be seen by so many pious activities, sacrifices, etc. Now here, the word Sudurdasham is used, indicating that Krishna's two-handed form is still more confidential. One may be able to see the universal form of Krishna by adding a little ting of devotional service to various activities like penances, Vedic study, and philosophical speculation. It may be possible, but without a ting of bhakti, one cannot see. That has already been explained. Still, beyond that universal form, the form of Krishna with two hands is still more difficult to see, even for demigods like Brahma and Lord Shiva. They desire to see him, and we have evidence in the Srimad Bhagavatam that when he was supposed to be in the womb of his mother Devaki, all the demigods from heaven came to see the marvel of Krishna, and they offered nice prayers to the Lord, although he was not at that time visible to them. They waited to see him. A foolish person may deride him, thinking him an ordinary person, and may offer respect not to him, but to the impersonal something within him. But these are all nonsensical postures. Krishna, in his two-armed form, is actually desired to be seen by demigods like Brahma and Shiva. In Bhagavad Gita 9.11, it is also confirmed, Avjananti Mamudha Manusham Tanum Ashritam. He is not visible to the foolish person who deride him, Krishna's body, as confirmed by Brahma Samhita and confirmed by Krishna himself in Bhagavad Gita. He is completely spiritual and full of bliss and eternality. His body is never like a metal body, but for some who make a study of Krishna by reading Bhagavad Gita or similar Vedic scriptures, Krishna is a problem. For one using a metal process, Krishna is considered to be a great historical personality and very learned philosopher. But he is an ordinary man, and even though he was so powerful, he had to accept a metal body. Ultimately, they think that the absolute truth is impersonal. Therefore, they think that from his impersonal feature, he assumed a personal feature attached a material nature. This is a materialistic calculation of the Supreme Lord. Another calculation is speculative. Those who are in search of knowledge also speculate on Krishna and consider him to be less important than the universal form of the Supreme. Thus, some think that the universal form of Krishna, which was manifested to Arjuna, is more important than his personal form. According to them, the personal form of the Supreme is something imaginary. They believe that in the ultimate issue, the absolute truth is not a person, but the transcendental process is described in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4. To hear about Krishna from authorities, that is the actual Vedic process, and those who are actually in the Vedic line hear about Krishna from authority. And by repeated hearing about him, Krishna becomes dear. As we have several times discussed, Krishna is covered by his Yoga Maya potency. He is not to be seen or revealed to anyone and everyone. Only by one to whom he reveals himself can he be seen. This is confirmed in the Vedic literature. For one who is a surrendered soul, the absolute truth can actually be understood. The transcendentalist, by continuous Krishna consciousness and by devotional service to Krishna, can have his spiritual eyes opened and can see Krishna by revelation. Such a revelation is not possible even for the demigods. Therefore, it is difficult even for the demigods to understand Krishna. And the advanced demigods are always in hope of seeing Krishna in his two-handed form. The conclusion is that although to see the universal form of Krishna is very, very difficult and not possible for anyone and everyone, it is still more difficult to understand his personal form as Shyama Sundara. Hare Krishna.
Very good. So these 4 verses, beginning from this one, it gives the conclusion of this chapter. And what it speaks about? Bhakti. This you have to remember. These 4 are very important. And the key point Prabhupada also put in the purport, that only by opening spiritual eyes, one can see the Lord, by no other means. Text 53.
Archana Bhakti Mataji.
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Naham vedayna tapasa na danena na chejaya shakya evam vidho drashtum drishtavan asimam yatha. The form you are seeing with your transcendental eyes cannot be understood simply by studying the Vedas, nor by undergoing serious penances, nor by charity, nor by worship. It is not by these means that one can see me as I am. Purport. Krishna first appeared before his parents Devaki and Vasudev in a four-handed form, and then he transformed himself into the two-handed form. This mystery is very difficult to understand for those who are atheists or who are devoid of devotional service. For scholars who have simply studied Vedic literature by way of grammatical knowledge or mere academic qualifications, Krishna is not possible to understand, nor is he to be understood by persons who officially go to the temple to offer worship. They make their visit, but they cannot understand Krishna as he is. Krishna can be understood only through the path of devotional service, as explained by Krishna himself in the next verse.
Very good. So in this verse, this is very interesting verse, very attractive verse. Impersonalists say that when you are less intelligent, you can think of a form. Have you ever wondered, I'm not attacking you, but I'm inquiring. Have you ever wondered, well, I know the philosophy, I am better than those who are not knowing the philosophy, only looking at the deity. They come and look at the deity, but they don't understand the philosophy, so I am better and they are less. If you ever come across like this, means some impersonalist infection is still there. Impersonalists, generally they say that when you are less intelligent, you can think of a form. When you are more intelligent, you can go to formless. But here, this verse, Krishna is saying, seeing him is not possible by any of these means. It is very, very difficult, not at all easy. Krishna does not say that seeing is for normal people and going beyond is rare. Krishna doesn't say that. It is so rare that with normal Vedic process of elevation, one cannot get to see it. Vedic process of elevation generally gives punya, piety, and it takes one to heaven, but they cannot take one beyond. So I found there are four. These are four things. You can keep a note for your future understanding. One, study, recitation, memorization of Vedas, like Keshav Kashmiri did. Two, or number two, by doing lots of austerities, like those in Srivas Thakur's, you don't have to write the whole story, but if you remember in Srivas Thakur's place when Mahaprabhu was relishing this very confidential memory of the Braja Gopis, and they used to have a Nam Sankirtan. Then one time a Brahmana was hiding, and Mahaprabhu says, some unwanted person is here. He doesn't fit in the category, I cannot relish. And then when that Brahmana was brought in front of Mahaprabhu, he said, you are not allowed. He said, how can I'm not allowed? I was drinking only milk whole life. Such austerity I did. I never ate any other food, only milk. But what was the mistake? It is not the austerity will bring us Krishna consciousness. It is the bhakti. It is required bhakti. So same thing with Srivas Thakur's mother-in-law. Or any example, Gopal Chapal, all this. It is bhakti alone. So that's second point, that by doing austerity you can get. Sometimes you will think like this: if I do extra austerity, I will advance quicker. This is a wrong conclusion. So number one is study, recitation, memorization of Vedas, like Keshav Kashmiri, you will advance? No. Second, by doing a lot of austerity? No. Third, just by giving charity. Then Karna could have got Krishna. Karna could have get bhakti. No, Karna did not get. Four, Ijjaya. Means if I do heavy worshipping with the deity, and if I do just some kind of jagna or worship so much that I'll advance very quick. These four things lingers in our head. Can you relate? Sometime in your head you're thinking like that. If I can memorize more sloka, I would be advanced very quick. But Shastra doesn't say that. Mahaprabhu doesn't say that. Neither Krishna says this. This is the key point. Yes, you can memorize the verse to increase your bhakti. That is okay. But if you think like just by memorizing verse, you will get bhakti, that is not recommended. So what should you do? Just do bhakti. Bhakti will produce enough memory, enough everything that you need. When, for an example, when Brahmana is chanting mantra and offering ahuti, that is ijjaya. Offering are going to all gods through fire god, Jagik Brahmana. Anybody remembers in Krishna book or 10th canto where Krishna Balaram sent their coward boys for some prasadam, food. And the Brahmana's wife succeeded, but the Brahmanas who are very strict, rules, regulation, rituals, jagna, everything, they failed. And why? In one word, how can we say that? Because the Brahmana's wives focused on pleasing Krishna. And their husbands focused on performing jagna, performing sadhana. Our focus is not sadhana, our focus is purpose of the sadhana. Otherwise, you will be doing a lot of austerity, but what is the outcome? That is necessary. Chaitanya Charitamrita, when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu allowed Mukunda to come and see him, you all know that story. That time Mukunda prayed and thanked Lord to allow him to see him. And he said, just seeing you is not seeing you. As even demons like Hiranyakashipu, Kamsa, they sees you. So real seeing you is seeing with devotion. Remember this. Real seeing the Lord or the deity is seeing with devotion. That is what Prabhupada, I understand from the purport. That can happen only when there is a devotion. So you can pray, please grant me devotion. What is the difference between Vasudev Devaki versus Nanda and Jashoda? Or their Angshik manifestation, they also appear. What is the difference between both parents?
Devaki and Vasudev realized Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whereas Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Mai, they were completely absorbed in the mode of Vatsalya Bhav. They didn't see Krishna as the Supreme Lord.
Very good. So you can word it like this way. That's correct what you said, but I'm wording in a different way. They were asking for a God to come as their son. Nanda Jashoda did not ask God to come as their son. They wanted love, devotion, bhakti, prem for their son. It's big difference. Your attachment to God is important, but it will take you up to Mahavaikuntha. It will not take you to Braja. In order to get into Braja, you need prema, bhakti, love, devotion. So all these activities mentioned here are good, but they alone don't lead to vision of Lord, which means one may be able to see the Lord, but one may not be able to understand the significance of having darshan of the Lord. Everybody understand that point? On Sunday feast, tomorrow Sunday, we have a few hundreds outsider comes to have darshan of the Lord. That's okay to have darshan of the Lord. But do they actually understand the significance of having darshan of the Lord? No. Only few. Because it's required devotion. It is very important. Okay, text 54.
Hare Krishna. Bhaktya to ananya sakya aham eva vidhi arjuna gyatum drashtum cha tatvena praveshtum cha parantapa. And the translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhacharna Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. My dear Arjuna, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am, standing before you, and can thus be seen directly. Only in this way can you enter into the mystery of my understanding. And the purport: Krishna can be understood only by the process of undivided devotional service. He explicitly explained this in this verse so that unauthorized commentators who try to understand Bhagavad Gita by the speculative process will know that they are simply wasting their time. No one can understand Krishna or how he come from parents in a 400 form and at once changed himself into a 200 form. These things are very difficult to understand by a study of the Vedas or by philosophical speculation. Therefore, it is clearly stated here that no one can see him or enter into understanding of these matters. Those who, however, are very experienced student of the Vedic literature can learn about him from the Vedic literature in so many ways. There are so many rules and regulations, and if one at all wants to understand Krishna, he must follow the regulative principle described in the authoritative literature. One can perform penance in accordance with those principles. For example, to undergo serious penance, one may observe fasting on Janmashtami, the day on which Krishna appeared, and on the 2 days of Ekadasi, the 11th day after the new moon and the 11th day after the full moon. As far as charity is concerned, it is plain that charity should be given to the devotees of Krishna who are engaged in his devotional service to spread Krishna philosophy or Krishna consciousness throughout the world. Krishna consciousness is a benediction to the humanity. Lord Chaitanya was appreciated by Rupa Goswami as the most significant man of charity because love of Krishna, which is very difficult to achieve, was distributed freely by him. So if one give some amount of his money to persons involved in distributing Krishna consciousness, that charity given to a spirit Krishna consciousness is the greatest charity in the world. And if one worship as prescribed in the temple, in the temples in India, where there is always some statue, usually of Vishnu or Krishna, that is a chance of process by offering worship and respect to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For the beginners in the devotional service to the Lord, temple worship is essential, and this is confirmed in the Vedic literature. Svetasvatara Upanishad 6.23. Yasya deve para bhaktir yatha deve yatha guru tasya te kathita hiyartham prakasante mahatmanah. One who has unflinching devotion to the Supreme Lord and is directed by the spiritual master, in whom he has similarly unflinching faith, can see the Supreme Personality of Godhead by revelation. One cannot understand Krishna by mental speculation. For one who does not take personal training under the guidance of bona fide spiritual master, it is impossible to even begin to understand Krishna. The word tu is specifically used here to indicate that no other process can be used, can be recommended, or can be successful in understanding Krishna. The personal...
Very good. Next.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, actually, Ramshan Prabhu can continue for this one more paragraph. After this, Archana Dasi Mataji will be reading.
Okay.
Hare Krishna. The personal form of Krishna, the two-handed form and the four-handed are described as Sudarsanam, very difficult to see. They are completely different from the temporary universal form shown to Arjuna. The four-handed form of Narayana and two-handed form of Krishna are eternal and transcendental, whereas the universal form exhibited to Arjuna is temporary. The word Tvad Anyan na drastum purvam, verse number 47, state that before Krishna, no one had seen that universal form. Also, they suggested that amongst the devotees, there was no necessity of showing it. That form was exhibited by Krishna at the request of Arjuna, so that in future, when one presents himself as an incarnation of God, people can ask to see his universal form. Hare Krishna.
Very good.
Hare Krishna. The word na, used repeatedly in the previous verse, indicates that one should not be very much proud of such credential as an academic education in Vedic literature. One must take to the devotional service of Krishna. Only then can one attempt to write commentaries on Bhagavad Gita. Krishna changed from the universal form to the four-handed form of Narayan, and then to his own natural form of two hands. This indicates that the four-handed forms and other forms mentioned in Vedic literature are all emanation of the original two-handed Krishna. He is the origin of all emanations. Krishna is distinct even from these forms, what to speak of the impersonal conception. As far as the four-handed forms of Krishna are concerned, It is stated clearly that even the most identical four-handed form of Krishna, which is known as Mahavishnu, who is lying on the cosmic ocean and from whose breathing so many innumerable universes are passing out and entering, is also an expansion of the Supreme Lord, as stated in the Brahma Samhita 5.48. Yasyai kanis niswasita kalam atawalambya jiwanti loma vilaja jagat antanata Wisnur mahansa ihayasya kala vishesho Govindam adi purusam tam aham bhajami. The Mahavishnu, into whom all the innumerable universes enter and from whom they come forth again, simply by his breathing process, is a plenary expansion of Krishna. Therefore, I worship Govinda, Krishna, the cause of all causes. Therefore, one should conclusively worship the personal form of Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who has eternal bliss and knowledge. He is the source of all forms of Vishnu. He is the source of all forms of incarnation, and he is the original Supreme Personality as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. In the Vedic literature, Gopala Tapani Upanishad 1.1, the following statement appears. Sachit Anandarupaya, Krishna Yalikstakarini, Namo Vedanta Vedyaya, Gurave Buddhi Saksini. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Krishna, who has a transcendental form of bliss, eternity, and knowledge. I offer my respect to him because understanding him means understanding the Vedas, and he is therefore the supreme spiritual master. Then it is said, Krishna Vai Paramam Daivatam. Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. From Gopalatapani Upanishad 1.3. Eko Vashi Sarvaga Krishna Idya. That one Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, and he is worshipable. Eko Pisan Bahuda Yovapati. Krishna is one, but he is manifested in unlimited forms and expanded incarnation. From Gopalatapani Upanishad 1.21. The Brahma Samhita 5.1 says, Iswara Parama Krishna Sachit Ananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is Krishna, who has a body of eternity, knowledge, and bliss. He has no beginning, for he is the beginning of everything. He is the cause of all causes. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Lakshmi.
Krishna. Hare Krishna. Elsewhere, it is said, Yatra Vatirnam Krishna Khyam Param Brahma Narakriti. The Supreme Absolute Truth is a person. His name is Krishna, and he sometimes descends on this earth. Similarly, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, we find a description of all kinds of incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And in this list, the name of Krishna also appears. But then it is said that this Krishna is not an incarnation of God, but is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. Ete chimsa kalaha punsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Similarly, in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, Mataha parataram nanyat. There is nothing superior to my form as the personality of Godhead Krishna. He also says elsewhere in Bhagavad Gita, Aham Adirhi Devanam. I am the origin of all the demigods. And after understanding Bhagavad Gita from Krishna, Arjuna also confirms this in the following words Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Pavitram Paramam Bhavan. I now fully understand that you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the Absolute Truth, and that you are the refugee of everything. Therefore, the universal form which Krishna showed to Arjuna is not the original form of the God. The original is the Krishna form. The universal form, with its thousands and thousands of heads and hands, is manifest just to draw the attention of those who have no love for God. It is not God's original form. The universal form is not attractive for pure devotees who are in love with the Lord in different transcendental relationships. The Supreme Godhead exchanges transcendental love in his original form of Krishna. Therefore, to Arjuna, who was so intimately related with Krishna in friendship, this form of this form of the universal manifestation was not pleasing. Rather, it was fearful. Arjuna, who was constant companion of Krishna's, must have had transcendental eyes. He was not an ordinary man. Therefore, he was not captivated by the universal form. This form may seem wonderful to persons who are involved in elevating themselves by fruitive activities, but to persons who are engaged in devotional service, the two-handed form of Krishna is the most dear. Hare Krishna.
How this seeing with understanding happens, that is described here. Very interesting verse. Actually, you can taste the verse. It says Anannaya. Ananya means different or others. Others, Ananya means there is nobody else. Also, you can say Na Anna, Ananya, like that. Means undistracted, not mixed by any other things. That is also Ananya means. Pravestum, you will enter into truth of my understanding. Gyatum, gya means full of knowledge. Gyatum drastum cha tattvena. Krishna is not saying there is any truth higher than me. He's saying in understanding me. God is known by a particular process, and we cannot use any other process to know him. I hope everybody understands that point from this verse. If anybody ever want to understand God, you cannot understand any other process except the process he reveals. Everybody got it? Otherwise, no possibility, period. Karma is at physical level. Veda, tapasya, charity, jagna. Where is my heart getting invested over here? Can you examine your heart right now? Is your heart invested in studying the philosophy, or your tapasya, or your charity, or jagna? Where is your heart invested? This you need to check. Gyan is at intellectual level. Yoga is at mental level. Everybody understand that? When somebody is interested in philosophy, they are in intellectual level. When somebody wants to sit down and meditate, they are in a mental level. But question I have, where is your heart or my heart getting invested over here? So Krishna says, Anannaya, my heart is getting involved. That doesn't mean my body, mind, and intelligence is not used. Try to understand, we're not excluding. But one is not distracted by other things. When purely our heart is offered Krishna, Krishna accept that and he revealed himself. Is it clear? This is very important. When we are taking a particular path, a particular things is required. Other things may support. One person traveling, and when TTE is asking for ticket, he is talking about his achievement in other field like his education and work, etc. What do you think the ticket collector? I don't know if you ever went in a train or bus in India, especially they ask for tickets. Here also, but here generally you have a machine and just does everything. So TT, he's saying, "Oh, I am from this city. TT is asking, you have the ticket? Well, I'm very educated, I earn a lot of money and this, that. But TT is still asking ticket only. He's not interested what college you went, where are you going. He's not asking any of this. Other things can be utilized in the path of bhakti, like a charity can be utilized, but it is not done, but it is bhakti which will pay, and dan is a medium. Everybody got it? Yes? One person at least respond. Did you understand my point?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Very good. So from Krishna, universal form came, then Narayan form, then again Krishna form. This we have to remember. Now, while we are going to next verse 55, I want somebody to compare these two verses. Mother Palika Pavani, if possible. 33 that we spoke yesterday. Was it yesterday or day before? Yeah, yes. No, day before yesterday. 33 verse. Krishna used the word Jitta Satru. Conquer your enemy. How do you conquer your enemy? If you want to kill your enemy, what the first thing we have to do? You have to identify the enemy, how your enemy looks like, where they live, something like that. The location, identification, isn't? If you want to kill your enemy, you have to know your enemy first, how that person look like or where they live. So Krishna said in 33, if you look at it, that kill your enemy, conquer over your enemy. Now on 55, he does not say that. He says Nirvair. And this verse, Prabhupada gave a significance in the purport. I think he said something like essence of Bhagavad Gita. Now here, Krishna says Nirvair, but you cannot have an enemy. So after we finish the purport, somebody has to tell me, how do you kill your enemy without, how do you conquer your enemy or kill your enemy without enmity? Then you get 100 mark in your heart. Krishna will be happy to hear it. So we can begin on 55. Can you see
Prabhuji,
Prabhuji,
can I ask a question?
Yes.
So when Arjuna said, please show me your four-handed form from the Vishwarup, the Arjuna is not used to the four-handed form, right? He always saw Krishna as the two-handed Krishna, right? Not as Narayan, right?
Yes.
So, but in the previous sloka, when the Kalarupa was demonstrated, Arjuna is asking, I am scared, please go back to your four-handed form. That confused me. Why would that make sense? Because Arjuna is not used to that form, right?
Because in future, Arjuna knew Mr. Joy and I are going to have a question on that. So he wanted you to ask that question. So he asked Krishna. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's possible. Also, the reason Arjuna revealed that, because Arjuna wanted to exhibit Krishna as the origin of all the forms. Especially your last name looks like Indian. So obviously, in India, majority beside the Hare Krishnas, they think Narayan means, God means four-handed form. Even till today, lot of Vedic conception is they think Krishna comes from Narayan. Such a ignorance is there still amongst I'm talking about materially educated people. I met Mr. Chetan, anyway, I should not say that. He's a very nice devotee, but he's a lawyer here, and he still thinks that it comes, but it took almost 30 years for him to understand finally that Krishna is the origin of everyone, every form. Narayan comes from Krishna. but majority Vedic follower, they think the form, four-hand form, two-hand form came. Krishna comes from Vishnu or Narayan. To that ignorance, Arjuna, for our well-wishing, he asked Krishna to do that. Is that okay?
Okay, thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Because that four-handed form was revealed when Krishna was born to Mother Devaki and Vasudeva, right? But after that, this is the only time the four-handed form was manifested to my knowledge. That is true, right?
No, there are many other also in Vrindavan, Krishna. Now, okay, I have to also mention you, everybody remembers all the form eternally exists in him. There is a beautiful verse in Chaitanya Chaitamrita. I don't remember the text number, but I can recite the verse. You can find in Vedavis. Krishna ek sarvasray, Krishna sarvadham, Krishna sarire sarva vishwara vishram. Krishna's body is the shelter of all unlimited form, manifestation, incarnation, everything. Even if you think Jesus or Jesus Christ, Allah, any form of God ever known by anyone, it's all exists within Krishna. He reveals according to the seeker or according to the audience that they are expecting. Even origin of Ganesh, Shiva, any form, even your, even mine, they all exist in Krishna eternally. So in Vrindavan, did Krishna reveal? Yes. He revealed the four-handed form also to gopis. Anyone, Rasik Bhakta, you probably know that story in Paitagaon. There's a place in Govardhan where Krishna, they were looking for Krishna and all the gopis searching, then they saw Narayan. That was Krishna. So they paid obeisances. It's just like a Hindu's idea of you go to temple and you ask for material benediction. The gopis had the same thing. They asked the Narayan, can you tell us, oh God, you know everything. Can you tell us where is Nanda Maharaj's son? Is the same Nanda Maharaj's son in Narayan form. But after a few minutes, Radharan is coming and that Narayan could not hold four-hand form. The two hands disappear in him and he was forced to manifest Krishna form. Why? Yasha Krishna Rupam Rasastiti. Because that form, Krishna's eternal form, it's in the heart of Radharani. Radharani's love causes Krishna to manifest his original form. So according to your relationship, Krishna will reveal. So many times also Krishna revealed foreign form, but not well known to the public, only for the Brajavasis. Okay, so everybody understood my question. In the 55, there is a one word called Nirved. And in 33, it says, you conquer your enemy. And here he says, don't have enmity. How is Arjuna going to pose himself? You killing your enemy without enmity. You have to explain me after we finish the purport. Mother Palika Pavani, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, one question, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu.
Related to Prabhuji, you told the rail and ticket about the TT, which is asking about the ticket and all. So it was very good to understand. In the same line, in the 18.5, if you like that yagya dana tapas chaiva,
yes,
natya yat karya meyata that yagya dana tapas chaiva pavanani
manishinam. Yes, I remember that.
So like bhakti we are TT is concerned about the ticket. We are concerned about, I mean, Krishna wants bhakti only. So how we are going for the Bhagavad, I mean, book distribution and all. We want to have the Lakshmi collection and all. If somebody is giving the Lakshmi, so he is doing some kind of he is offering something, finance or austerity, whatever we can understand in that way. So, or we are also giving to the temple. So does it not contribute in the bhakti, or bhakti is just pure, just sit and chant and just, I mean, these all makes the bhakti, right? Yagya danas tapasya. When we are going for kind of, when any kind of ceremony like Diksha, so then there is the yagya. When there is the Lord Narsinga, whatever the occasion, so there is the yagya. So it helps in the bhakti, right? These are the process, the Vedic bhakti and all it makes. So how to understand, Prabhuji? Please reconcile.
Okay. In a simple way, we can understand that more we understand the definition of bhakti, then we can reconcile everything. Definition of bhakti, yesterday I mentioned little bit that Anukulyana Krishna Anusilanam Bhakti Ruttama. Pure bhakti means, first of all, what you are looking for in life? To be happy. Whatever anybody does anything in this world, they do this only for one purpose, to be happy. Whether it's a politician or a murderer or a philanthropist, whatever, whoever is doing anything, they're actually doing for one purpose, that they will be happy. And the highest happiness will be revealed to you when you awaken love for the Lord. And that is proven. No other happiness is satisfying the soul ultimately. It is only the love for the Lord. To awaken that love, to awaken that bhava, you have to do sadhana. So the purpose of sadhana to awaken that. Now, question comes, you are saying that how to see the other limbs that they're actually part of bhakti. Or how we practically engage them, to how to see it. This is very important. I want to tell you something, and everyone, please remember this. Charity is not just an activity, but it is also a mentality. Charity, an action of contributing to some worthy cause, but also an inner disposition that expresses itself in regular charitable activity. Dana, Brata, all this, it's a joyful activity in devotional mood for Krishna's pleasure. Then you can release the joy of selfless sacrifice. And slowly you can progress towards develop divine selflessness. That selflessness in the service of the divine. I hope everybody understood. This is bhakti has to have a bhava rupa and chesta rupa. Yesterday we also mentioned. Everybody remember that? So yes, when you're talking about anything and everything, there is a gradual progression. We go slowly, slowly, we progress. But where our intention has to be checked, not the amount what is given. What is the intention of the giver? One who is giving the charity, what is his intention? He wants some name. The temple president says, Mr. So-and-so gave $1 million. then he is happy. Or he has a actually understanding that Krishna is the owner of the wealth, that Krishna has given this wealth so he can serve the Lord with it. What is his intention? If you just only engage his money, yes, he is getting some bhakti unmukhi sukriti, and it will take long time for him to come to Krishna consciousness. So if you give him a good understanding, then he will definitely will be benefited. Otherwise, he will be just getting the material benefit, and it will take long time for him to come back to spiritual path. So just like for an example, giving charity, there are so many things involved, but the highest charity is giving spiritual knowledge. That has to be understood. Giving spiritual knowledge is the highest. Just like Prabhupada also says, an action of contributing to some worthy cause. Charity is not just giving some money or something, because it's an inner disposition that expresses itself in regular charitable activity. That it should be your dana, brata, jagga. Yes, that purifies the heart, that's true. But when it is pointed to please Krishna, they will get benefit, there is no question. Eventually, they'll get benefit. We are not ignoring it. This is called Bhakti Unmukhi Sukriti. This is not pure Bhakti, but it is Bhakti Unmukhi Sukriti. That's how we all came to Krishna consciousness. So it is okay. But so long we are understanding that without Bhakti, nobody can approach God, then we are in a good place, good shape. Is that okay, Prabhu?
Yeah, okay, Prabhuji. Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Thank you. 54.
Sanjeev Prabhu, are you there?
Father, it's 55. It's 55, right, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Mat karma kran mat paramo mat bhaktaha sangha varjitaha nirvairaha sarva bhuteshu yasa mam eti pandava. Translation. My dear Arjuna, one who is engaged in my pure devotional service, free from the contaminations of previous activities and from mental speculation, who is friendly to every living entity, certainly comes to me. Purport. Anyone who wants to approach the Supreme of all the personalities of Godhead on the Krishna Loka planet in the spiritual sky and be intimately connected with the Supreme Personality, Krishna must take this formula as is stated by the Supreme himself. Therefore, this verse is considered to be the essence of Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita is a book directed to the conditioned souls who are engaged in the material world with the purpose of lording it over nature and who do not know of the real spiritual life. The Bhagavad Gita is meant to show how one can understand his spiritual existence and his eternal relationship with the Supreme Spiritual Personality, and to teach one how to go back home, back to Godhead. Now here is the verse which clearly explains the process by which one can attain success in the spiritual activity, devotional service. As far as work is concerned, one should transfer his energy entirely to Krishna conscious activities. No work should be done by any man except in relationship to Krishna. This is called Krishna karma. One may be engaged in various activities, but one should not be attached to the result of his work, but the result should be done for him. For example, one may be engaged in business, transform that activity to consciousness. One has to do business for Krishna. If Krishna should enjoy the profit of the business. Businessman is in possession of thousands and thousands of dollars, and if he has to offer all this to Krishna, he can do it. This is the work for Krishna. Instead of constructing a big building for his sense gratification, he can construct a nice temple for Krishna, and he can install the deity of Krishna and arrange for the deity's service, as is outlined in the authorized books of devotional service. This is also Krishna karma. One should not be attached to the result the result should be offered to Krishna. One should also accept as prasadam food the remnants of offerings to Krishna. If, however, one is not able, one can engage himself in cleansing the temple of Krishna. That is also Krishna karma. One can cultivate a garden. And in India, it has a certain amount of land, can utilize that for Krishna by growing flowers to offer him. He can sow tulsi plants because tulsi leaves are very important, and Krishna has recommended this in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna desires that one offer him either a leaf or a flower or a little water, and he is satisfied. This leaf especially refers to the tulsi. So one can sow tulsi leaves and pour water on the plant. Thus, even the poorest man can engage in the service of Krishna. There are some of the examples of how in working for Krishna. The word Mat Paramaha refers to one who considers the association of Krishna and his supreme abode to be the highest perfection of life. Such a person does not wish to be elevated to the higher planets such as the moon or sun or heavenly planets or even the highest planet of this universe, Brahmaloka. He has no attraction for that. He is only attracted to being transferred to the spiritual sky. And even in the spiritual sky, he is not satisfied with merging into the glowing Brahmajyoti effulgence, for he wants to enter the highest spiritual, namely Krishna Loka, and therefore he is not interested in any other. As indicated by the word, Mat engages in devotional service, especially in the 9 processes of devotional engagement. Hearing, chanting, remembering, worshipping, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, offering prayers, carrying out the orders of the Lord, making friends with Him, and surrendering everything to Him. One can engage in all 9 devotional services, or 8, or 7, or at least 1, and that will surely make one perfect. Thank you.
You
Hare
can
Krishna.
stop here. Aditi Lata Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So from where should I read? I actually should I read from Matpara, the word, or
No, the term Sangha Vivarjitaha. Next paragraph of that, Mataji.
okay. The term Sangha Varjita is very significant. One should disassociate himself from persons who are against Krishna. Not only are the atheistic persons against Krishna, but so also are those who are attracted to fruitive activities and mental speculation. Therefore, the pure form of devotional service is described in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.1.11 as follows. Anyabhilashita sunyam jnana karmadi anavritam anukulyena krishnanu silanam bhakti ruttama. In this verse, Srila Rupa Goswami clearly states that if anyone wants to execute unalloyed devotional service, he must be freed from all kinds of material contamination. He must be freed from the association of persons who are addicted to fruitive activities and mental speculation. When freed from such unwanted association and from the contamination of material desires, one favorably cultivates knowledge of Krishna, that is called pure devotional service. Anukulyasya sankalpa pratikulyasya varjanam. Haribhakti Vilasha 11.676. One should think of Krishna and act for Krishna favorably, not unfavorably. Kamsa was an enemy of Krishna's. From the very beginning of Krishna's birth, Kamsa planned in so many ways to kill him. And because he was always unsuccessful, he was always thinking of Krishna. Thus, while working, while eating, and while sleeping, he was always Krishna conscious in every aspect. But that Krishna consciousness was not favorable. And therefore, in spite of his always thinking of Krishna 24 hours a day, he was considered a demon, and Krishna as at last killed him. Of course, anyone who is killed by Krishna attains salvation immediately, but that is not the aim of pure devotee. The pure devotee does not even want salvation. He does not want to be transferred even to the highest planet, Goloka Vrindavan. His only objective is to serve Krishna wherever he may be. Should I continue? Or
There's one more paragraph. You can continue, Mataji.
Give me 1 second. This is wonderful. This Prabhupada put that verse on Navilashita Shunyam, and Ram Sham Prabhu had a very nice question. Also, before that, Sanjay Prabhu read, it seems like it's repeated. So I want to address this so that we have some clear idea. Because we discussed before, not everybody can offer their heart to Krishna. Be honest. Because they have a lot of other desire. They don't want to give themselves to Krishna. So when we go out and get there some money or engage them taking books and other, how to see it is a part of the devotion. So this is very important point. Yes, I agree with Ram Shem Prabhu that how do we set up our self understand this? So I would say an action of contributing to some worthy cause, as you know that anybody helping this movement is definitely got a pure spiritual Bhakti Unmukhi Sukriti, or what he calls Bhakti credit, you can say, Bhakti credit. So we can say we all long for love. That is a fact. This longing attains lasting and complete fulfillment when we direct it towards Krishna, for he is eternal and all attractive. So Bhagavad Gita outlines the descending ladder of love, even though it's giving charity. Now, how to understand this? That Bhagavad Gita, when you come to 12th chapter, you will see, or maybe today we'll start, that how it outlines a descending ladder of love, which ranks comprise levels at which we can connect with Krishna. And we'll see how it urges us to constantly fix our mind, intelligent, thereby our heart on Krishna. So one level urges us to practice fixing our mind on Krishna when we cannot do either. Some people will find they are not fix their mind in Krishna, nor they are interested to practice. So what do you do with them? When we cannot do either, then Krishna says, you will see in 12:10 will come, how Krishna urges us to work for Krishna. Our mind naturally gravitates towards work. I'm not asking anybody to judge, but generally, if you know Mr. Trump, he was he was the president of America. In 1976, the biggest Ratha Jatra we have ever had in New York. Prabhupada was so happy. He was almost homeless in that city 10 years before that. And 10 years later, 36 police officer was escorting Prabhupada in honor. How this dramatic change was very, but who gave big facility for us to build the chariot? Anyone knows? Mr. Trump. Nobody knew him. He had a restaurant, and the restaurant parking lot, the devotee went there, and Mr. Trump actually said, yeah, you guys can build your cart, whatever. They never saw Jagannath cart or anything. For 1 month, I'm not glorifying Trump, but I appreciate his giving that charity. For 1 month, he gave to ISKCON his parking lot, where he could make money by giving the facility for customer to park, but they parked somewhere else and came to his restaurant, but he gave that whole parking lot. Krishna will never forget him. Whether it's a good person or bad person, that's not, I'm judging as a political, it's not my interest. But I appreciate that anybody does any help to ISKCON who is doing selflessly, sacrificing all these brahmacharis, all these grihastas, sannyasis, leaders, they are full-time dedicated just to distribute this Krishna consciousness. Nothing will be lost. And in 12th chapter, we'll see how it's actually accommodate person like this. Even seeing Vaishnava is benefit. I was going to say, even Prabhupada said that I thought, Prabhupada said only microphone. You remember we used that example that when you are using the microphone will be spiritualized. Well, that's very nice. But something more, when I heard that Prabhupada told to Mukunda Maharaj, even the factory who made the microphone, all those employees going to get little credit. Bhakti Unmukhi Sukriti. So actually, just by being present in this world, all those devotees, those who have taken initiation, took this path seriously, just by being their presence, whether gas station pumping gas or buying flour or driving around or walking around, they're benefiting unlimitedly to everyone. So Ramsam Prabhu, yes, they're all coming towards Krishna. That ladder is there, like a stairs. They're coming, but there may be at the bottom or second stair or third stair, maybe we are on the 99th stair, doesn't matter, they're all coming. So we have to see from that angle. So I would conclude that if we cannot practice the regulation of Bhakti Yoga, then just try to work for me, Krishna says, or at least help to those who are working, just like buying a books or giving a little charity. Yes, they are also coming towards that. So that we'll discuss more in the next chapter. Thank you. That was a very nice question. Yes, Mother, continue, please.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
A devotee of Krishna is friendly to everyone. Therefore, it is said here that he has no enemy, nirvaira. How is this? A devotee situated in Krishna consciousness knows that only devotional service to Krishna can relieve a person from all the problems of life. He has personal experience of this, and therefore he wants to introduce this system, Krishna consciousness, into human society. There are many examples in history of devotees of the Lord who risk their lives for the spreading of God consciousness. The favorite example is Lord Jesus Christ. He was crucified by the non-devotees, but he sacrificed his life for spreading God consciousness. Of course, it would be superficial to understand that he was killed. Similarly, in India also, there are many examples, such as Thakur Haridas and Prahlad Maharaj. Why such risk? Because they wanted to spread Krishna consciousness, and it is difficult. A Krishna conscious person knows that if a man is suffering, it is due to his forgetfulness of his eternal relationship with Krishna. Therefore, the highest benefit one can render to human society is relieving one's neighbor from all material problems. In such a way, a pure devotee is engaged in the service of the Lord. Now, we can imagine how merciful Krishna is to those engaged in his service, risking everything for him. Therefore, it is certain that such persons must reach the supreme planet after leaving the body. Hare Krishna.
In summary, the universal form of Krishna, which is a temporary manifestation and the form of time which diverse everything, and even the form of Vishnu, four-handed, have all been existed by Krishna. Thus, Krishna is the origin of all these manifestations. It is not that Krishna is a manifestation of the original Vishwarupa or Vishnu. Krishna is the origin of all forms. There are hundreds and thousands of Vishnus, but for a devotee, no form of Krishna is important but the original form, two-handed Shyamasundara. In the Brahma Samhita, it is stated that those who are attached to the Shyamasundara form of Krishna in a love and devotion can see him always within the heart and cannot see anything else. One should understand, therefore, that the purport of the 11th chapter is that the form of Krishna is essential and supreme. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purport on the 11th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of the universal form. Hare Krishna.
Very good. Thank you. I'm going to see here in this verse, it says, Mam eti, unto me, you will come to me. Krishna is saying, again, there is nothing which is beyond me. It's very interesting, isn't it? Here is clear that sadha and sadhan is not different. Mat karma, mat paramo, mat bhakta. It is referring to sadhan and sadha, the practice and the goal. So all this is referring to Krishna only. Offer that will come to me, work for me, engage in my work. Now, how to understand this? Very interestingly, there are different levels of working for Krishna. Earlier in 9th chapter, we understood, one day we discussed Jat Karoshi Jasnashi. That Krishna is such a kind that even if you don't have a feeling for me or don't have bhakti, but at least offer to me, do it for me. Whatever work doing, you offer the fruit of that work to me. That is one level of working. That is good. That is not the highest level, as we discussed, but that is good level. So here Krishna is not saying Kurusha Madarpanam. Here he is saying, do my work. Can you see the difference? Before he says, whatever you do it for me. Now he said very specific. Just like Prabhupada said to Vishal Prabhu, not Vishal Prabhu. Vishal Prabhu was witnessing that to please Krishna or not please Krishna, you should not concentrate on that. What pleases Krishna, you should concentrate. Can you see the difference between these two? Pleasing, not pleasing versus what pleases. Similarly, here Krishna is not saying that just offer that to me. He says, no, you do my work. Means he has this particular work. Not any work you do. So mat karma kreen means you do service for Krishna. We do deity worship, book distribution, as you mentioned, missionary work. We in this way do Krishna's work. This is higher than Jat Karoshi Jasnashi. I hope Ramshan Prabhu, you're getting that, right? Mat Paramo makes me the supreme goal of life. This is very significant. Why Prabhupada said this verse is the essence of Bhagavad Gita. Here Krishna says, Mat Paramo. Can each of you examine right at this moment, did you make Krishna as the supreme goal of your life? Krishna is asking here, please make me Mat Paramo. If you look at the verse, he said, make me as your supreme goal of life. Parama is important here. All of us, when we live in material world, we have some intermediate goals, which are also important. Parikshit Maharaj was king and was engaged in so many essential duties, which was required. But as soon as he came to know he has only 7 days, he has taken full work in Krishna consciousness. So we should have some temporary goal in our spiritual life, but Krishna should be our paramo, eternal goal. Remember that, please. Whether Krishna is our eternal goal, That will be tested when our temporary goal and eternal goal conflict with each other. Which means normally we want our temporary goal to contribute to our eternal goal. When these goals conflict, that time we have to make wise and courageous decisions. We will sacrifice intermediate for ultimate, which doesn't mean we have to renounce like Parikshit Maharaj, but we have to put something to background to bring something to foreground. Then Krishna says another word. I'm looking at the verse, Mad Bhakta. Then he says, become my devotee. Sangha Varjita, stay away from bad association. What is bad association? Bad association means that will not bring you closer to Krishna. Any association you have in your life right now that don't bring closer to Prabhupada and Krishna, don't go there. Slowly, slowly stay away. And any association remind you of Krishna and Prabhupada, who come to it, grasp it, grab it, or at least keep close. Sangha can mean attachment or association, both. Now Krishna says another word, Nirvair Sarva Bhuteshu. Just now Kala Rupa was shown, which was devouring everything. Can you see the point? Why I put that question in the beginning? Arjuna was encouraged to fight and conquer, and immediately Nirvair Sarva Bhuteshu. That is a mystery of Bhagavad Gita. So Arjuna is not having anything personal against Kaurava, they are against Dharma. Got it? And he is a servant of Lord. So devotee does not have any self-agenda. When devotees serve, they serve very faithfully and they do not have any animosity towards anyone. Lord Ram told Vibhishan to do the last rites for Ravana, saying soul is pure. When it is associated with the body, it does bad because of conditioning. So Lord Ram fought and killed Ravana, but he does not have any animosity about Ravana. Similarly, devotees fight at certain occasion for the sake of the Lord. Srila Prabhupada is not using rascal in an angry or hateful way. I mean, Prabhupada used that word. Srila Prabhupada in one of the lectures says, Krishna, all these rascals have forgotten you. So give me intelligence so that I can reconnect these rascals to you. So he was thinking about good wishes of those he's calling rascals, not in an enmity or a hateful way. Everybody understanding that point, right? So this verse is like practical application which is centered around practice of bhakti. 53 verse says, by other path one cannot come to know. 54 says, if you look at it, just verse before, says by bhakti one can know. Now 55 says, how can one come to the level of bhakti? By ananya bhakti. Ananya, that word is used. We can know him. But how we come to the level of ananya bhakti? One level below that, by doing all this activity, gradually we'll come to the level of ananya bhakti. And we'll know about Krishna, we'll return back to Krishna. So in this way, Krishna concludes this chapter by the glories of devotion. So we learn from here that when we resent others, we drink poison and expect them to suffer. This is a bad mentality. Somebody was asking by text, can you explain this little bit on the last verse? That I feel like Arjuna didn't hold the resent, how to understand. Suppose a person becomes furious. So answering to that, suppose a person become furious with someone and decide to hurt them. So they drink poison themselves. Ridiculous. We would say, who would do anything like that? Well, sadly, however, we often do something similar, isn't it? When someone hurts us, we become resentful. All the more so their life appears to be going on happily. I'm being honest to you, even in Allah, I would not say the name. One devotee was saying that when somebody cut him off on the road and he saw that car went and crashed into another car, and he said, "This is funny, I felt good." I said, "Why did you feel good?" He said, "Because he cut me off. He was mean to me. So he got his punishment immediately. But I felt good because he got punished." What kind of mentality is this I have? I said, this is very dangerous. But we all, maybe devotees don't do that, hopefully. But this world, people do that. If somebody hurts them, they immediately want to see that person suffer. They do, to be honest. Then they think it's legitimate. Okay, he was mean to me, now he got suffering, so that is good. But this is very sadly. When someone hurts us, we become resentful. All the more so if their life appears to be going on happily. Little do we realize that our resentful thoughts are poisoning us mentally. How? By filling us with negativity. If we cannot do anything to hurt them back, we feel helpless and victimized. And I hope none of you do that. If we can do something, we become obsessed with revolting revenge fantasies. Even if we succeed in taking revenge, we subject ourselves to the misery of the negativity during that period. And after short-lived, elation of revenge fades away, we find our mind becoming resentful about something else, revengeful towards someone else. Question is why? We must ask this. Because the prolonged contemplation of the negative has addicted the mind to obsessing on the negative. Everybody understood that? Because prolonged contemplating on the negative has addicted the mind to obsessing on the negative. So these verse, mat karmakin, mat paramo, nirvay sarva bhuteshu, what it tells Arjuna to do his work, fight without being hateful towards anyone, especially Kauravas. So though Arjuna and his family have been grievously wronged by their malicious cousins, but Bhagavad Gita urges him not to fight for revenge. And that Arjuna's fight actually was bhakti. He is encouraged to focus on the positive purpose of establishing dharma and do his duty as a marital guardian of society in the mood of devotional service, you can say. In responding to atrocity, Bhagavad Gita takes us beyond both resentful passivity and revengeful hyperactivity. Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is actually helping us focus on our spiritual evolution, on moving towards Krishna, contributing in this world in a mood of service. Our life is meant to get back to Krishna, not to get back at others. here for Arjuna towards the Kauravas. So if we meditate on this truth amidst resentment, including situations, we will be guided from within to respond appropriately. That will be my answer. Now I am excited. We are over time, but I'm excited just to tell you about the chapter 12, that just few minutes so we can begin tomorrow. No, I mean Monday. Yeah, this Saturday. This 12th chapter is called Bhakti Yoga, Devotional Service. This is last chapter in Bhakti Yoga conception. All 18 chapter in Bhagavad Gita talks about Bhakti. All 18 chapters. But first 6 chapter, please remember that, focuses on karma and how karma leads to Bhakti. Everybody got it? 1 to 6, karma leads to Bhakti. Last 6 chapter, 13 to 18, Gyan, about Gyan. How Gyan leads to Bhakti. And middle 6 chapter focuses on Bhakti itself. In 10th chapter, Arjuna accepted Krishna's supremacy. You remember that verse? Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Pavitram, Paramam Bhavan. He accepted Krishna's supremacy. And he asked to see Krishna's greatness in nature, Vibhuti. Then Krishna shows how he sustained the whole world with one fragment of his being, 1042. Yajjat Vibhuti Mat Sattam, that verse. Then in response to that, Arjuna asked to see Virat Rupa, Vishwarupa. And then Krishna shows him Virat Rupa in 11th chapter, which we just finished. Then Arjuna asked about the impersonal aspect of absolute truth. 9:15 underlines critical flow of later chapter. You remember 9:15, you can look at it before we begin next day, I mean Monday. Where ekattena pritakattena bahuda vishyata mukham. Very nicely, these are the 3 ways in which people do Jnana Jagna. Worship Krishna through sacrifice of knowledge. Why I am mentioning you this? Because chapter 12, in the beginning, few sloka, is emphasizing, re-emphasizing this same thing. Out of this, Prithakattena Bahuda is talked about the 9th chapter itself, from 920 to 928, where Krishna says that those who worship demigods has to continue the cycle of birth and death. 921, Gata Gatam Kama Kama Lavante. And 922, devotees, I protect them. So the point is 3 things are talked about, and out of which 2 have been dealt with. First was demigod worship, that is talked about in that chapter itself. Then universal form, upasana, is talked briefly in that chapter from verse 16 to 19. Then it talked about in 11th chapter. Now what remains is ekottena. Everybody with me? There was 3. So discuss 2, now ekottena. Oneness. What does this refer to? What is the concept of worship? In oneness thinking, oneself to be with one at. That is what Arjuna will question now in the 12th chapter, 12:1. I'm not immediately related to 11.55, but it is exploration of discussion which has started earlier. Everybody got it? Why it is now Krishna speaking this? So chapter 12 has a 3 section, just for you to remember. 1 to 7, 8 to 12, and 13 to 20. And I know I'm late. I had a plan of doing the 1 to 7. I'm not going to do it. It's already late. But Monday, hopefully, we can do 1 to 7 and 8 to 12, hopefully. And then Tuesday, we can finish 13 to 20. Because after that, you have an exam 3 days. So this chapter will talk about how bhakti is the best process for transcending. Then how bhakti can be practiced at multiple levels, how one will continue, qualities that will make one devotee. So I'll end here. Is there any comment, question, or reflection? And then we'll close. And Monday we'll start 1 to 7. And if Mother Palika Pabuni probably is too late for her, or somebody else is there, that you can organize 7 reciter of 7 sloka, 1 to 7, and then 8 to 12. It's up till 12 devotees. Any comment, questions, or reflections?
Yeah, Prabhuji, for reflection that mat karma krina mat paramo. So mat paramo, it's we know that, but to make it more and more time so that our faith will be increasing. So make Krishna the supreme goal of life, so that all the way, all different way to remember, different way to worship, different way to all the time, so that maximum we can time spend for the Krishna to remember, to do personal services. So mat parma is the today takeaway keyword for me, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Very good. Mat parama makes me the supreme goal of life. Very nice. Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes, Prabhuji. Other thing Krishna says, Mad Bhakta, that engage in my pure devotional service. So it can be any devotional service out of 9 devotional service.
Yes.
And also you told very nicely that kill the enmity without killing the enemy. So that was really good, because many times we have so much animosity with other people. We think, that this person should actually get some punishment or something, and actually, so that was very nice, because that's our day-to-day thing, but we should not think that way. So that was really very good and catchy. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I have one small reflection, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mother
Like
Sajan.
the sentence you said, our life should be to get back to Krishna, but not to get back to others and other things. It's like the entire shloka, like how you explained, what is the first one, mat karma krit, mat parama, mat bhakta, anga varjita. It's like the whole essence is here. I mean, though every verse is important, it's like what we are doing is, I mean, at least me, like, oh, why except Krishna, everything else. So if we keep that one sentence, it's like, no, that's it. And that sentence was very, I was a bit touched by that, Prabhuji.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Mata. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yes, Gautam Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, one takeaway from today's class for me, we should focus on purpose of sadhana, not on sadhana.
Purpose of sadhana. Yes. Very good. Very good. Thank you. Brihadnath Prabhu, you wanted to say something?
Yes, Prabhu. Me too, this affected by this word nirvara. I am too so many times troubled by this word. So you have almost solved. Devotees don't have any self-agenda. When we resent others, we drink poison ourselves and expect others to suffer. That's a very nice message. One thing I must say, probably your English is very tough, like Bhakti Siddhanta.
Oh, no.
I remember that when the devotees assembled before Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, they would keep dictionaries and they would keep pocket dictionaries. Maybe it is true. That is my request.
Thank you. This is actually, I was talking to my own mind. I was not mentioning to anyone, so, but you have taken and reflected. I appreciate. Thank you so much.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you. Any other, or we can close for today? Okay. Seems nobody else is there. So please accept my humble obeisances. Vancha kalpataruvescha kripa sindhu bhaivacha patitanam pavanebhyo
Vaishnaveभ्यो
vaishnavebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.